Hello Internet! Today I want to invite you to do a quick mental exercise with me. Think of your favorite restaurant, the place you normally would go to for food. Imagine going there one day and discovering that they are expanding their menu and now they're proposing new things. So that day you decide, okay, sure, why not? I'm gonna try some of these new dishes. Now imagine going to the same restaurant next time and discovering that all of the things from the menu that you used to like are gone, and the only thing on the menu now are these new things that you've tried the last time you came. Well, okay, you say, I'm gonna play along. You get used to the new menu and you forget about the old menu after a while. And then one day your friend invites you over for dinner to a different restaurant. After that happens, you return to your favorite restaurant and discover that they've removed the new menu yet again, and now the only thing they're serving is the food that you have eaten when you went out with your friend. Damn, you say, and instead of eating, you sit down, order just a coffee, and write down a complaint form that you hand into the restaurant owner, explaining how it's kind of frustrating that the food from the past is being replaced with some new food that you're not even sure about. You go back home, you come back the next day, you walk in, sit down, and look at the menu on the table, confident that the competent restaurant owner has listened to your feedback and that they value the customer's opinion in your favorite restaurant. You pick up the menu, you open it up, and all you can see are 100 types of coffee. Angry, you stand up, find the owner, and explain that you dislike how they keep on changing the menu all the time. And the owner says that, well, he's sorry, but they've been observing the way you've been eating recently and they just try to fit your needs better. Like, you wouldn't have ordered the food from the new menu if you didn't like it in the first place, right? And you definitely would have returned the new food and ordered things from the old menu if you didn't like it, right? You look at the owner in confusion. The new food was alright, you say? Well, exactly, you liked it. I'm sure you'll like more of it instead of that old boring food you've been eating for years. I thought it was gonna be funny if I do voices. Well, what about the next change? Why did you copy the other restaurant I went to with my friend? Well, you wouldn't have gone there if you didn't like the food in that other restaurant, now would you? We only wanted to remove the food that you didn't eat and replace it with food that you did eat. I didn't even like it that much. And definitely not more than you, my favorite restaurant. My friend just invited me there. Are you gonna tell me now you don't like coffee either? You literally order a coffee and drive. I feel like you're not listening to me. Look mate, we have hundreds of customers that we need to adapt our menus to. It will be impossible for us to know exactly what you like. Why change the menu in first place then? So you don't get bored eating the same food over and over. But I liked that food. You did? Well, how come you ate the new dishes that we introduced? Well, because I felt like it. So you're trying to tell me that on some days you like certain type of food and on other days you like different type of food? No way. Mate. No way. That's impossible. You fundamentally misunderstand what affects my choices. Well, maybe. But we got some of it correct, right? I won't lie, recommendation algorithms frustrate me. And this was a ridiculous situation that no restaurant would ever have you experience, yet, for lack of a better solution, multiple online services such as YouTube, but also Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, eBay, Amazon, all go this path in an attempt to grab your attention and try to guess what you may like. The algorithms used to make these kind of custom predictions are called recommender systems. And don't get me wrong, they're good, they're really clever, but they fail to understand one core principle of choice. Moods, feelings, true human decision making. And even more so, YouTube algorithms sometimes seems to behave like a angry, bizarre tradesman, like trying to push solutions into your hands even after you stop looking and trying to walk away. It does a great job at figuring out what kind of stuff you would want to watch by observing how you're clicking on things that it's suggesting to you, But I think that it does a mediocre job at figuring out things that you don't want to be watching by maybe observing things that you're not clicking out of the things that it's recommending to you. And don't get me wrong, I think it's good that it suggests new content to you and promotes new channels, but I think it gets it wrong in that it should be a little bit more humble about these suggestions. And sure, it's kind of impossible to figure out what exactly you would want to watch. It's almost impossible. But what I'm feeling is that it currently pushes you to a certain type of experience without a slight amount of doubt about its predictions. So the content that the algorithm believes that you should be watching is the stuff that you will be watching. Period. When you're not interacting with the suggestions that you're being given, it just simply gives you more suggestions from the same genre, rather than considering switching the genre. If only there was a way that you could indicate to the algorithm what kind of genres you may like. You know, there are times I just hate how my YouTube feed just falls into the state of lockdown, only suggesting videos that I don't want to watch. And maybe I have watched a video or two in all of these different types, but that doesn't mean I want to be watching them all the time. And never mind years of browsing history and all the subscriptions I made. Nope, boy. From now on, the last 2 weeks of browsing is going to be the only thing you're going to be watching now. And same thing happens with Facebook or Instagram or Amazon. I'm sure some of you recognize the situation where you would browse one item and from then on that one item will be advertised to you on all different platforms across the internet. Or that one friend on Facebook that posted something interesting that you watched that now comes up every single time you open Facebook. These recommender systems, as powerful and lucrative as they may be, I think make far too many assumptions about human interactions and what they really mean in terms of future preferences of a user. And one solution I can think about is to stop focusing on trends but focus on the moods. Leave alone the kind of single clicks and be a little bit more doubtful about the actions that the recommender system takes. For instance, when I'm browsing through YouTube and I haven't interacted with any videos and I've already scrolled through 1 or 2 pages, I would much rather see new videos in new genre that potentially could be more interesting for me. And I would also like to see less impact taken from just single clicks and one videos that I just randomly happen to see. A quick diversion. This is me from the future currently editing the video you're watching right now, and I just realized that at the moment my YouTube went into this weird state of lockdown that I was describing before, when it's only recommending me videos that I don't really want to be watching. And so I thought I'm gonna quickly show you a few examples just so you can understand what is it that I'm whining about. So this is my current YouTube feed, and before we go ahead and browse through it, I just kind of wanted to quickly talk about my recent browsing behavior. Over the last few weeks, I subscribed to a few new channels and been watching a number of sort of random videos that were popping up on things such as video games, maybe some old adverts, tech or food, etc, etc. I also kind of had a feeling like listening to a little bit more drum and bass, so there's been maybe a few days when I was listening to that type of music on YouTube. And see, the reason I'm mentioning these is that we're gonna be seeing a lot of these genres across. None of them are things I would say I'm particularly passionate about, and in most cases it was as simple as me clicking on a random video that just happened to pop up and I liked the guy's face and I liked the gear that he was holding and the title sounded interesting, so I clicked at it. But the moment I came back, that was kind of where my experience with that particular genre has finished. But nonetheless, YouTube decided otherwise, and from now on we're going to be seeing a lot of that type of stuff. Apart from some things that I might have accidentally watched over the last few weeks, or things I just have been in the mood for, like the drum and bass music, YouTube also introduces quite a lot of random stuff into the feed, and I'm 100% confident that these are random things that I don't know anything about. I have never clicked on any type of videos along these lines, and when I say random, truly these things are completely unrelated. such as I played Giorno's theme on piano in public, the foxes that go hehehe, tornadoes of 2018, forgery experts explain 5 ways to spot a fake, 8 signs someone is secretly depressed, thanks YouTube, tribal people try American breakfast for the first time, people react to being called beautiful, tribal people try Nutella for the first time, Asmongold's mind explodes by world record Dark Souls speedrun, tribal people try Pringles for the first time. The horrible TikTok show just got worse. Yet this guy, he keeps on appearing on my YouTube feed all the time and I don't understand why. I never watched any of his videos. Nonetheless, YouTube thinks, well, you should be watching his videos. Jeez. To make it easier to showcase the problem that I have with YouTube right now, I actually went ahead and I categorized the videos that have appeared on my feed in this particular moment. And I turned them into this little spreadsheet where I counted all the videos depending on the type of a genre that I think they belong to. Altogether, there was 240 videos that I've analyzed. The categories themselves are mainly self-explanatory, maybe except for relevant and subscriptions. Relevant stuff are things that I actually would have liked to watch, and subscriptions are videos that are coming from the subscriptions that I've made. And so as you can see, the vast majority of things that have been displayed to me on that particular feed are things I don't really feel like watching. Out of 240 videos, only 5% I would categorize as videos that I actually would have been interested in watching, either because they come from my subscriptions or because they turn out to be a little bit more relevant to me. Interestingly, almost 1/4 of all videos came from music type of videos. So I've mentioned that I've gone through a phase when I felt like listening to a little bit of drum and bass music on YouTube. I've been also listening to some maybe ambient music, but definitely it's not the type of thing I want to be watching all the time, yet YouTube decides that this will be one of the most recommended things that I will be seeing. And needless to say, I find it incorrect. Like, just because I felt like doing something a week ago or a couple of weeks ago doesn't necessarily mean that right now, when I came to this platform for some entertainment, I'm gonna be really enjoying listening to another 100 videos of drum and bass. Although I find it really interesting that the largest category is actually random. They are completely unrelated to my recent browsing history or to my subscriptions, yet YouTube believes that this is the stuff that I would like to be watching. Therefore, I believe that this breakdown and this chart, more than anything, visualize how irrelevant my preferences really are, how everything seems to be based on just some random usage and suggesting things that are, like I say, completely irrelevant to me. And I'll be brutally honest, it's wrong. All of it is wrong. It's 95% of suggestions are just completely off on that platform. It doesn't always happen this way, it's not always in this state of lockdown, but sometimes because of some random browsing, random usage that I do on YouTube, it just gets there and I'm stuck and I just have to wait until the algorithm decides that maybe I would actually like to watch some other things. Additionally, I find it a bit annoying that some of these videos keep on being suggested to me over and over again, despite me, well, not watching them. Like for instance this video on Edward Snowden, or that one, Papers, Please, or this one by Veritasium, or that one here, How I Wrote True Detective, never watched the show, or this one there, again, from the man that I have never watched a single video of. YouTube is being very persistent in trying to tell me, you should really watch what we think you should be watching. Anyway, I just want to wrap up by saying this isn't the only time this has happened. I dislike it today, and it'll probably go back to normality in a while and there'll be more relevant stuff being recommended. But I just wanted to highlight the problem that I have with YouTube, with Facebook, with many other recommender systems, using some statistical data and actual numbers that I can measure and say, well, there you are. It really is shit, and I don't like it. So, point proven, case closed. Goodbye. Okay, let's go back to the video.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think this could be a flaw simply in the recommender system, in which case the rant would be over and the video could stop right here. But I also can recognize that these could be deliberately put in place. You see, recommender systems are just tools for various businesses. And in terms of YouTube, their success is measured in terms of views, watch time, and revenue stream from the ads. The current frustrating status quo could be a result of various machine learning models trying to optimize the recommendation mechanism into its current state. Yet I'm afraid that these could have fallen into some local minima that trapped us in this middle ground solution. And it may work better than what was there previously, at least, from YouTube's perspective. But it is also really far away from really and truly understanding the user choice and what people would really like to see, and also the process of creating, modifying, and finally removing preferences. It seems like a very business-centered approach, not so much user-centered, no matter how social we try to call that media. Ads and product sellers are primary. You and I are secondary. And in such a world, it's no surprise that the experience isn't so much aligned with what we would have wished for.